Hello class, my name is Jawan Turner, and I'm here to present to you today my portion of our environmental and social responsibility assignment. I worked with Team 4 on this, so that would be Christina, Lance, and Jackie. And just to give you a little background about me, I'm a graduate student. It's my second semester, so I still have another year, and so far things have been good, and I'm going to get into this presentation about climate change. Just to give you a little background on climate change, it's been around for a while now, so scientists have been able to do a lot of studies on it and come up with a lot of research. I've also learned a lot about it in just doing this project. So basically the Earth is getting hotter at a pace that it's kind of hard for natural life to keep up with. But the Earth is getting hotter, and it's causing changes to our long-standing climate that we've been accustomed to. So starting to change those long-standing patterns that we've lived with and came to know since the beginning of time. Glaciers are melting, sea levels are rising, cloud forests are dying, things of that nature, as well as rise of carbon dioxide. So scientists believe carbon dioxide and methane and other things, they trap this heat in the Earth's atmosphere, causing it to warm up the Earth, they say. And the phenom that we also notice as is the greenhouse effect. So scientists believe that this greenhouse effect is causing these levels of carbon dioxide to rise, creating a warm in the Earth. So that's just a little bit of background. I'm getting to some of the causes on climate change. And many people believe the causes come from humans. Some people believe, scientists and studies show that it's just nature doing what nature does. But I took the con side in this assignment. So I believe that climate change is just a pattern of nature just repeating itself, and natural disasters having its impact. But proponents of global warming argue that the rising levels of atmospheric greenhouses effect are a direct result of human activity. So again, proponents argue that because of this activity and all the waste that we cause in some of our day-to-day lives and some of our day-to-day consumptions are causing this global warming phenomenon that we know as greenhouse effect. I also found a interesting statement from an article, and it said it was published in the National Academy of Sciences, and it found evidence that the forests are actually not dying, they're actually increasing their growth rates in response to the elevated levels of carbon dioxide. So that right there lets us know alone that the forests are positively responding to these levels of carbon dioxide. And in turn, it's kind of slowing down the process because it's trapping that carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere. So these forests and this level of CO2 that's rising is actually helping our forests grow instead of deteriorating it like we may think. And so also some of the factors that cause climate change that I come to find out are variations of the sunlight. So as the Earth turns each day, and the sun, the variations in sunlight that the Earth's getting is a factor that's playing on the climate. Excuse me. Also, the fluctuation in the ocean's currents plays a part, as well as natural disasters. And I'm gonna get into natural disasters in a second, but again, that factor that we tend to forget a lot about is the ocean's currents and also the cloud coverings. So as clouds cover the Earth, they also have some type of relationship. They have a relationship with the sunlight and how they reflect it back to the Earth. So if clouds disappear and they start to dissipate, then the climate change process will speed up a lot faster because there's no cloud coverings, and that's some of the things they've been seeing. But also, it can kind of counteract, and maybe clouds continue to form, and the more clouds we get, it can also help slow down the process of climate change. And then the factor that a lot of people tend to overlook is the nature's impact, obviously. So global warming, it's the cooling it was studied, and some cooling been found between 1940 and the 70s, and then it warmed up again between the 70s and the 2000s. And there was a correlation between that warming and cooling periods, and also the ocean's currents, and also which was also related to the alignment and the appearance of the clouds. So a lot of people don't view climate change as nature's impact on the world, but a lot of people think that humans are causing this phenomenon, and humans are the reason for it. Well, I believe humans may be helping the process, or maybe pushing the process along. They are not they're not solely at fault. I think natural disasters such as volcanoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, and things of that sort have been causing the Earth to have been causing changes in the Earth's climate, and also causing changes just to the world period. A lot of people don't believe that, or a lot of scientists argue that these natural disasters affect the Earth and its climate. But I mean, the idea of nature taking its course is very possible, as the Earth was here long before us, and it's going to be here long after us. So if nature is of course taking its toll on Earth's climate, then there's not much we can do about it. Since I gave you a little background on climate change and my position, I'll talk to you about some of the other parts of the assignment. When asked if it was our ethical responsibility to address climate change, I feel as though as ethical people in this world, it would be only morally right for us to address climate change as it pertains to us. And I feel like, since I believe, and I'm on the side of climate change not being affected by humans solely, then I believe it is our ethical responsibility to find ways to help slow climate change, and maybe find ways that we can positively affect climate change. But since we're not the reason for global warming, I don't think we have to take drastic measures. But I think the Earth is our home, and we should treat our home right. So it's ethical for us to know what's going on, and maybe ways that we can handle that. When asked about, when thinking about social entrepreneurs and how they should address climate change, I believe that they should address climate change. I believe one couldn't consider themselves a social entrepreneur unless they make a conscious effort to bring awareness to some of the findings that they found in their study and research. If you're a scientist in this field, how can you be a social entrepreneur if you do not take the social responsibility to inform your people and inform others about this phenomenon, or this long ongoing climate change that can potentially be dangerous? I feel like as social entrepreneurs, it is your job, and it is our job, if we see ourselves as social entrepreneurs, to address climate change strongly, aggressively, and as we see fit. I believe global leaders are probably first, in my opinion, first in line who can address climate change. I think it's as global leaders, they have a lot more power, and they're on more of a pedestal, and they have more of a stage to address this climate change than maybe a social entrepreneur. Because a global leader to me is maybe not always someone in the government, maybe a big company, or somebody of high or some group of high importance and high integrity. So I feel that they kind of have more credibility when bringing a situation like this to light. Companies can be seen making strides to positively impact climate change. I know Nike is a big company, and they're one of the top leaders in lowering waste. So they kind of cut waste out of their manufacturing cost, and that's just something small that a lot of companies may not know about but can do. Also, as well as Tesla. Tesla's kind of found a way to make a car that's electronically fueled, which a lot of people know is cutting back on cutting back on waste and releasing the toxins of the gas and all that into the air. Our group, we chose to compare the United States with Nicaragua, and there are some differences out there, but there are also some similarities. Like, climate change is affecting them as it is affecting us. We all have to find a way to maybe cope and deal with it. I know the United States doesn't see it as big of a threat as the United States doesn't see climate change as a big threat like Nicaragua does. The United States backed out of the PCA agreement with 195 other countries. I want to say them and Syria are the only two countries who has backed out and decided not to join the alliance. And not joining the alliance basically that's kind of like a statement from the United States saying we don't think this is that big of a deal to put all this money into it, even though there might be some disasters and things that show that climate change can really be potentially dangerous in the future. We don't see it that way. Our administration doesn't see it that way. While some Americans may think that climate change is more big of a deal than our administrators see, it is what it is. Trump and them don't think that climate change deserves that much attention, but they do feel that it has a spot at the table to be, talked about. Where on the other hand, Nicaragua, they joined the PCA agreement, which is just an agreement about a global pact. Members of countries seek to limit the planetary warming and lower emissions of carbon dioxide into the world, which is a cool fact. Nicaragua ran off about 50% of renewable energy, so they're trying to lower their waste and cut out the use of all the oil and stuff, and they're just trying to become independent from all those large oil companies. And I think in doing some research and digging a little deeper, they're not as much going with this renewable energy for climate change purposes. They're kind of doing it to help their economy because they're one of the poorest countries out there. So this renewable energy, while a lot of people look at it like it's a way to help the climate and do this, that's not really the intended reason some of these countries are using it. So I don't think renewable energy is. I think it can be helpful, and there are some helpful impacts in using renewable energy. I don't think everybody's looking at it as a problem solver or a climate change solver. And then the last question we was asked is what leadership style approach we will use in trying to run either one of these cultures. I think a charismatic and participative leadership style will work because I think both of these cultures are made up of similar governments, which have executive, legislative